This is a Patron exclusive video. I still hear from people all the time saying, Rex, I cannot find hand planes. I can't afford them, or I can't find old Stanleys, or I can't find planes to fix up. I can't afford premium planes. What am I supposed to do? How do I get woodworking? And I'm on it. You know, I have been on the hunt for inexpensive planes for a long time. I'm doing it all summer. And there have been some interesting developments in the hunt, and I want you guys to know about them first because, well, you're literally paying for these planes, so you should get the dirt early. Here's the interesting thing. I got both of these planes here. This one is sold by a company called Bighorn. This one is Grizzly. We've all heard of them. This plane is $38, free shipping from Amazon. This plane is $46, free shipping from Grizzly. And you notice anything interesting about them? They look awfully similar, don't they? Like, suspiciously similar. Not exactly the same. I'll get into the details in just a quick second. But it's similar enough that I'm like, okay, these are clearly coming from the same factory at least. Let me do some research. I've done a lot of digging into what's going on here. I am 99% sure these planes were manufactured in India. Not China, which is where you would expect inexpensive tools to be made, and some Chinese tools are great. These are Indian, and I just really haven't known the Indian subcontinent for producing good Western-style woodworking tools, but maybe that's just because I'm ignorant, who knows. These are really fascinating just because of their general level of quality. Both of these planes, mostly have the features that I'm looking for, like their basic Bailey pattern, nice hardwood handles, although I don't mind plastic, I do prefer hardwood. Big brass wheel. Look at this thing. Look at that spin. Look at that. It's beautiful. It gives you all the inertia you need to make really fast adjustments. Chromed lever cap, not necessary, but kind of a nice feature. And just a general, faithful Stanley style plane. Here's a vintage Sweetheart era Stanley number 4 for comparison, and you can see pretty much the same, little differences, but nothing I'm gonna get really bent out of shape about. Now, these two planes are super similar, but they're not exactly the same, and I think what's going on here is this plane is actually pretty old. Bighorn is not a company, really. I don't know what they sell or what they do. I think they're probably just some shell corporation in Nevada or whatever, and they bought a big lot of these and they're selling them on Amazon. I mostly think that because a lot of the parts of this plane are tarnished. The little adjuster yoke for the depth, that's super corroded. I think these have been sitting in a shipping container or in a warehouse for maybe even years. So what I think is that these planes came out of the same factory. I think this one was produced probably several years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and this plane was very new because Grizzly moves a lot of product, so their stock is really always fresh. I think that this is the current production plane from the factory that's making these, and they've made some obvious improvements from this model to this model. They've obviously gone from the cam lever here to a screw thing. That's the only downside. I think having a screw there is stupid because you have to adjust the tension every single time you do something with the blade. That's dumb in my opinion. I like the set it and forget it cam lock. But there are some other really interesting little differences. This plane has, you can see, kind of a glossy japanned paint, a lot like what you'd have on the Stanleys. Fairly durable and thick, but definitely prone to chipping. On this plane over here, they've moved to, it looks like powder coat, a very thin, flat paint that seems quite chip resistant. That's an interesting move, because it should make the plane more durable, more rust resistant, and it's also just like a more modern sort of updated feature. I'm sure Stanley would have used a technology like powder coating if it had existed. Most of the rest of the plane is the same. They have kind of a loosey-goosey lateral lever that's got a bunch of slop in it. That's not a big deal though because the lateral still works. The irons on both planes look totally decent. Unlike the Great Neck plane that I tried a couple weeks ago, you can advance and retract them as much as you want to. You can position that chip breaker just like you want to. All of that stuff is what you want. Let's pop them open real quick. I got that set a little bit tight. So both of these planes have the sort of late post-World War II frog design. Some people don't like it. They say the little holes in the casting make the blade not supported well. I think that's complete BS personally. I think this frog design works great, and I know it's easier to manufacture because there's a little bit less surface to machine. So I think this is a smart choice for keeping costs down. They both have the exact same frog, same mounting hardware, same bed configuration, same frog positioning screw. All that stuff is pretty much the same. Again, suspiciously similar. But here's the thing that's interesting. Here's the bighorn plane, and here's the iron and chip breaker. They look a lot like what you would yank out of a vintage plane. Again, a lot like the Great Neck I tried out. This vintage one, it's got too much curvature. It's a lot more than you need. It's going to take a fair bit of tuning to get this thing to work the way I want it to, but it's fine. It's going to be totally fixable. Here's the interesting thing on the Grizzly. Here's the iron right there, and I flip it over, and here's the chip breaker, and you see it's got a little bit of curvature, and then right here, this is a machined surface. And I know some of my viewers right now are like, I can't believe you're diving into this minutia, but it really matters. This is a premium plane feature. This is like what Lee Nielsen and Veritas are doing with their planes right now. They're dispensing with that curvature mostly, and they're just taking a nice piece of mild steel with a tiny curve and then machining basically a knife edge into it to function as the chip breaker. That adds a significant manufacturing step to grind this and polish it and then fit it, and the fitting is, I mean, I'm holding it up to my filming light right now, and it's looking pretty good. So I don't think this is going to need much tuning. This is a really high-end feature, and this is on the Grizzly plane. The Grizzly plane is $46 shipped. I know that I'm like the cheapest woodworker on YouTube, but seriously, $46? That's nuts. And I think there is an actually big, complex, interesting, sort of mysterious story to tell about these planes. I think I know who's making them. I'm 99% sure I know that they're coming from India. And I think they're being sold under a lot of brand names at a huge variety of prices. And I think it's even possible that there are some companies who are very dishonestly marketing these planes to gullible woodworkers. And I think I'm going to get to make a pretty interesting video about where these planes are coming from, how they're made, how good they are, and who is maybe trying to take advantage of people with them just a little bit. So stay tuned for more on these. I will let you guys know everything I can as it develops. If you're a nerd like me, you're kind of on the edge of your seat. I am genuinely excited about this. But no matter what happens, you'll hear it here first. Thank you so much for your support. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.